All right, good morning. And today's session is Change is Good, as we all know. Change is definitely good. The journey of one facilities management department. We have Pamela Locke from UMass Lowell.
All right. Making sure my timer is working. Okay. My name is Pamela Locke. I am the FIS coordinator at UMass Lowell. And today I'm going to be talking about some of the changes in technology that we've been experiencing over the past year. Just a few quick facts. Our campus is separated on 3 separate campuses, and we're around 150 acres. We have 4 million square feet of building space, and we manage over 10,000 interior spaces. Last year, we had around 18,000 students at our university. So like I said, I'm going to be talking about all of our changes in document management, project management, space management, our campus viewer. So I will jump right into it. Starting off with document management. Our old system was a shared network drive called the X drive, or I like to call it the black hole. First pictures of the black hole down here. It was very hard to search unless you knew the right person to talk to, who knew where that file happened to be. We kept everything, if it was useful or not. And that created a lot of duplicate files on the X drive, and we really had no way of knowing how many duplicates we had. We have deliverable standards, but since this is like the Wild West of file storage, there was no way of really enforcing or knowing that these standards were being adhered to. We have lots of hard copies. We have some really old building plans, which, from the 1800s, so we don't want them to get ruined, but they're just sitting out in our library. Anyone can access them if they want. And basically, we had no management of this drive. So it was very hard to find things on the X drive, and we knew that a change needed to happen. So last year, actually around the time of this conference, we hired a document manager, or a facilities information records manager. And his first task was to understand our current system and review document management options out there, big and small. I think he ended up reviewing about 7 or 8 different options before landing on SharePoint, which is what we've been using for the past couple months. SharePoint is marketed as a web-based collaborative platform that integrates with Microsoft Office and primarily sold as a document management and storage system. Great, we have Microsoft Office, we need a document management system, so SharePoint is what we ended up using. The other plus side of going to SharePoint was that UMass Lowell already has Office 365, and SharePoint is included to that, so budget-wise, it was the right decision because it was free for us to use. So we were kind of working with what we had. So things we were looking for in our document management. Everyone kept saying we wanted to be able to search like Google, type in words and have the most relevant responses pop up. We wanted secure file sharing rather than just creating a zip file and sending it off in an email. We wanted some structure to it, mobile access to all of our project-related data. SharePoint happens to be supported by our IT, which is a plus. If anything goes wrong, we can just call them up. And lots of storage space. So not many of us in facilities had ever used SharePoint before, so that was a little scary to some of us. Learning new software is always a big deal. Especially if you don't have a lot of technologically savvy people in your office. We didn't understand exactly what it was or what you could do with it. But once our records manager, Larry, started playing around and showing us all the cool things you could do, we were a little less scared, and we actually kind of liked it. So our first plan of attack was our project archives. It was the most straightforward thing to tackle. So we went through and we were figuring out what we needed to keep. Record drawings, as-built, O&M manuals, all the usual stuff, and I'm sure I forgot some stuff to add to this list. But we also wanted to save planning projects because oftentimes we had seen our planners doing all these great studies and scenarios, and then their data was just stored on the X drive and nobody knew it was there. So a study that they had done was duplicated, a couple years down the road, and it was just, inefficient. And we just really wanted to have all this great planning information stored along with all of our project information, so it's there, people know that it happened, and all that useful information doesn't go to waste. I mentioned our hard copies and all of our old plans. We had a couple interns helping us scanning all of these plans, so they are all in SharePoint now, digitally available for people to use. So some of those plans from 1800s, early 1900s, we don't have to touch and take out of the drawer and further destroy. Some of them are pretty brittle. So we currently have about 95% of those scanned. Our project archives has 5 terabytes of space right now. If we ever run out of that, we can add more. So it's scalable, which is great. And as Larry has been going through all these documents, he's been tagging them with metadata. So more data about the document, like who was the project manager, what consultant did we use, the date of the document, the actual title of the document, which I'll show you all in a minute. But it's added a lot of value to this planning archives. It's not just a place to dump our data. And all of these archive documents are read-only. So no one can go back in and accidentally edit something and change it forever. And everyone in facilities has access to these, so anyone can just go onto SharePoint and find these documents that they're looking for. So there has been a lot of discussion about how to organize our SharePoint site. Everybody has their own opinion, and there's been a lot of back and forth in meetings about this topic, folder structure, what it will actually look like. And this is what we have landed on now. It's changed a couple times over the past few years, but this seems to be working well for us. So each group within facilities has their own site, and each site has a terabyte of space for them to do with what they will. Again, we can add more space to this if they ever run out. So planners, project managers, operations and services, our business admin, they all have their own site. They're intended to be used for internal operations. So when you're working on things, you need a place to store your working files. They go on the SharePoint site. Project management, since most of their projects are construction related, their folder structure is campus, building, trade. The planning department, sometimes there is no location assigned to what they're looking at. It's usually a project for a specific school or department, so that's how their files are organized. Operations and services, they're still a work in progress, but again, we're thinking campus, building, trade, since a lot of their projects have to do with buildings or space on campus. And then business admin is by specialty, so HR or budget. And now I will show you a quick demo of our SharePoint site. We decided to call it the FM Cloud. Oops, you guys can't see my screen. How do I exit out of here? There we go. The FM Cloud. And you can see there's this really long URL up here to access the FM Cloud. So what we do, we have a little redirect. So if you just type in fmcloud.uml.edu, it brings you to this page. It's easy to remember, and you don't have to try to remember studentuml.sharepoint.whatever. So the FM Cloud. Here are all of our sites, project archives, planning documents, business operations. You can also access them on the side over here. But we also have links to like our campus viewer, e-builder, training documents. So we're trying to make this kind of a one-stop shop to find campus-related information. I will show you a little bit about our project archives because it's our most complete data source right now. As you can see, we have our different campuses. We have a bunch of them, and then all of our planning documents. So if I was in the project archives and I wanted to search for a specific project, there's a couple ways I could do it. I could go up here and I could search, let's see if I do Coburn roof. I want to know about the roof of our Coburn building. So a lot of things pop up. And this is because SharePoint searches for any document that has Coburn or roof in the title or in the document itself. It can read the documents. So we get a ton of hits, and that's good, but that's too many things to look through. So if I go back to the project archives, I know that our Coburn building is on South Campus. I know that it's a building. I know that it's Coburn Hall. So if I go into that folder and I type in roof, I get a much smaller set of documents, which is probably what I'm looking for. You can see we have all of these fields going off to the right. And this is the metadata that I was talking about, that Larry has spent hours and hours tagging all these documents with this metadata. So the title is like the title of the plan or the document that you're looking at, the date the date that's actually on that document, the floor of the building that it's on. These are all related to the roof. If it was assigned to a specific room, we could have that room number on there or multiple room numbers on there. Document type, work order number, project number, campus, consultant, project manager. So there's a ton of information about all of this documentation, about all these documents that can help you narrow down your search to find that document you want. So I could view these documents like this, or I can also view them as little thumbnails, because sometimes you know that plan that you're looking for and you go, oh, that's the one. And you can click on it and open it up, and there's the plan I want. So once I'm in here, I can download this PDF and do whatever I want with it. I can also share it very easily and securely, which was one of our list of things we needed. So if I click this copy link button up here, I have lots of options on how I want to share this document. I can share it only with people in UMass, people with existing access. I can allow or not allow editing. I can type in specific people's email addresses and only send it and only allow those people to view this document. Once I get my security settings done, I click apply and copy, and then I can just paste this link into an email and send it off. The other thing you can do, you can set expiration dates with these links. So if you send it to a consultant and say, hey, you only have a week to access these documents, here you go, it gets them to really look at them quickly. So that's kind of the beauty of how our SharePoint is going right now. Documents are easy to find. You can share them securely. So it's been going really well, and we're all really excited about it because it's 1,000 times better than our black hole X drive. Let's see, where was I? Another thing that we've been piloting is a software called WebDrive. And this allows you to map a SharePoint site and have it look like the traditional Windows File Explorer. For people who really, really don't want to change, this is great because you can access all of your SharePoint files through Windows Explorer, and it looks like you're just using Windows Explorer, but everything is saved in the cloud and still accessible through mobile and shareable. So it's an ease of access thing for certain users, but also if you use software that needs to map to a drive like this, like AutoCAD, you can save all your DWGs in SharePoint and still access them through AutoCAD because you've mapped this SharePoint site as a drive, basically. So that's been going really well too. And I asked our records manager, Larry, to come up with some challenges and successes with this process. So one of the biggest challenges is to limit people from using hard copies. Like I said before, they're in our library. Anyone can just go in there and access them. So having them search for them on SharePoint instead of going to the hard copies has been a little challenging. The idea of self-service. So a lot of times people are in the habit of coming over to my department and saying, hey, can you find these building plans for me? Or, I really need this drawing. Can you print it out for me? So, changing that to, well, actually, this is how you can search for something really easily yourself. And it might save you time because sometimes I'm busy and I can't look it up for you immediately. Changing that kind of way people work or think has been a little challenging, but they're getting the hang of it. It's going good. Like I said before, if you have people who aren't tech savvy, having them learn a whole new software and change the way they work can be difficult. You can't please everyone, unfortunately, so that's always hard to deal with. And like I said before, instituting formatting standards has been a challenge, and we're hoping that having Larry there to help kind of say, nope, this doesn't go in the archives because it's not formatted properly, will help take care of some of that. And one of the biggest challenges was building the system from scratch in-house with no money. So he did a really great job. Some successes, people really started using SharePoint quickly and caught on and was like, oh yeah, this is way better than the X Drive. So that was good to see. Information is available from anywhere. You don't have to VPN into our university network to access it like we did before. You can access it from your phone while you're out in the field. So that's very helpful. Reducing the amount of paper we're being used. I said a bunch of this stuff already. The search functionality is great. All the metadata is amazing. And our one-stop shop for campus-related information. And it was a success that Larry built the system from scratch in-house with $0. So that was great. And just to give you an idea of where we are right now, just in the project archives, we have over 15,000 documents in there tagged with all that metadata. And our planning project information, there's about 50,000 documents in there. They're not sorted yet. They still need to be tagged with metadata, but that's one of the challenges we have ahead of us is going through all of those documents. Lessons learned. Listen to everyone's concern, but keep in mind the end user who is going to be using this and how they want to use it. Keep it simple. That's kind of my mantra. I say that when starting any project. Simple is always better. Like I just said, keep in mind who the end user is, what would serve them best, and control the junk. Because if people don't trust the information that you were providing them, then your system as a whole won't work. Next topic, next change. We are currently implementing eBuilder for project management. Our old system was our black hole of an X drive, sometimes people's hard drives, and Team Dynamics. So we started using Team Dynamics in 2009 to track and report on construction projects. Since then, we've grown a little bit. We have usually over 100 projects going on simultaneously, and we manage, scope, design, a $350 million capital project program. So we've gotten a little bit bigger and more integrated, and there's more collaboration going on and sharing of data, and our old system really wasn't conducive to this. So deciding that we had outgrown team dynamics, we really wanted to be able to have all of our budgeting, project managing, contracts all in one system is what drove us to start the search for something new. So we had a very lengthy decision process. We decided, once that decision was made, we hired Arcadis to help us write an RFP and interview anyone who responded. We had 5 companies respond, and we interviewed each of them as well as references for each of those companies. And that whole process took from April of 2017 until May of 2018. So it took a little over a year. Once that was completed and we had decided, yes, eBuilder, we're going with you, contract negotiations, getting our data ready to be put into eBuilder, and the hiring of our PMIS, or Project Management Information System Specialist, took from May of 2018 until January of this year. So it's been a very long process, but we're getting there. We finally started actually implementing eBuilder in January, and we're hoping to go live in November of this year. We have had an entire team working on this process, but our PMIS specialist is really our point person for eBuilder and who we're going to bug with all of our questions once we get started. So why did we choose eBuilder? Project tracking, customizable reports. We felt that it would help us create efficiency in scheduling, processing, notifications, digital signatures on documents. You can do all of your budget tracking in eBuilder, and then report back on that over the years. Again, it has mobile access, which is what everybody wants right now. It's expected to be used by everyone in facilities and by our external clients. So this is our warehouse for project manager, managed projects. So our ongoing capital projects, this will be how they will be managed. I really wanted to point out that this whole process has really promoted collaboration and communication between our project managers and our planners. So we are pretty close already. We sit in the same suite, so they're literally right across. The planners and the project managers are right across the room from each other. But sometimes our communication wasn't that great, even though we were so close. So over the past, year or two, we've been having discussions. How can we help each other? What each group wants, how they work, understanding each other a little bit better. It would be really helpful if you guys gave us this information, like 2 months earlier than you usually do. So we've spent a lot of time kind of getting to know each other. And it's actually been really, really good, and everyone seems really happy about the fact that our 2 departments are kind of joining hands. And then I think it was only a month ago, we decided to actually merge project managers and planners. So now we are the planning, design, and construction group. And it just goes to show how this process has really made us more cohesive, and we've been sharing a lot more. It's been great. Everybody's really happy. So that was a really good outcome of this whole process. So bringing everything back to document management, active projects will be in eBuilder, but once that project has been completed, the closeout documents will be moved into our SharePoint site, into our project archives. And like I said before, those projects will be reviewed by somebody in FIS, probably our records manager, Larry, to check for proper formatting before they actually get saved and stored in the archives. Lessons learned. So I asked our PMIS specialist for her lessons learned. Speaking with other universities that have been using eBuilder before and during implementation has been very, very helpful. Just kind of insider insight that you might not have gotten otherwise. We had eBuilder come on site to do training before we started actually implementing anything. And that was very helpful because we really got a good idea of what we were getting ourselves into, how to use the software. It wasn't brand new and trying to format all of our data to fit into eBuilder. Making sure the implementation schedule works for your team. So eBuilder originally wanted to have us implemented this summer, but the summer is the busiest time for facilities at our university, so that wasn't gonna work for us. And we had them push it out into November, and now we're still like, oh my God, are we gonna make the deadline? But I think we'll do it, We've been having monthly lunch and learns. So entire facilities group, eat your lunch in one room and click around in eBuilder. So those have been very helpful, just preparing everyone and getting them comfortable with the software before we actually have to use it for our everyday work. Their users group is very helpful and a great site to post questions to and get responses pretty quickly. The one thing we wish we did differently was that we started out in a test environment. So we started out in our live environment, which meant when we were testing processes and who gets notifications, there was a lot of test emails going around, like, hey, this test project is done, and hey, you need to sign this test document. So if we had started out in a test environment, we could have controlled that a little bit better. So that was the one thing we wish we did differently. Okay, completely changing track. Since I'm talking about all of the new technology we've been using over the last year, if anybody came to my talk last year, I spoke about a photo management app that we had worked with our web services team to create. This is also with web services, but it's for key requests, which originally were all done on paper. You had to print out the form, fill it out, get your supervisor to sign it, and then fax or email it into our service team. And they then had all of these, paper requests that they had to keep track of and file and organize. Sometimes they got lost. Sometimes you couldn't read the handwriting. So going digital has been awesome. I would like to point out that all of the select a building, floor, and room data is pulled directly from our space database, which is what I manage. So that makes me very happy that people will be entering in room numbers correctly when they're requesting keys. But one of the biggest outcomes that we didn't have before was this on the right-hand side, all the reports that we can pull. So how many keys got requested last year? How many requests did we fulfill? How many keys got destroyed? Who's requesting them? So we now have all this data about keys, probably more than we ever knew we needed, but it's there if we need it. So that was just a cool outcome of our new key request app. And now on to our campus viewer. So we decided that we needed to upgrade our campus viewer probably last year sometime when Chrome stopped supporting Flash. So our campus viewer still runs on Flash, which is it's an outdated software platform used for things like animations and websites and mobile apps and stuff like that. That was our main driving force was, oh my God, we need to get off of Flash. We have been working with the same consultant for probably around 10 years. They've really helped us get where we are today, and we wouldn't be where we are today with our campus viewer without them. And they have updated software, which we spent months and months testing out, trying to fit our data into. But in the end, it was a really hard decision, but we're not working with them anymore. We're decided to go an all Esri route for our campus viewer. But I just wanted to say that they're really great to work with and we still love them. So it was a very hard decision to make. But we are updating our campus viewer and we're going to utilize all of our Esri licenses to do so. So during this process, we made a list of must-haves and kind of looking toward the future. Where did we want to go? So our campus is not built on a flat elevation. We have hills. And this concept of a level picker versus a floor picker is very, very important to how we look at our university. So one building, the entry level could be on floor 3 on one side, but on the back side of the building, it could be floor 1. So having this concept of levels, having all of our buildings be on the same level and show how they are connected, because we have a lot of interconnected buildings, is super important to our planners, our project managers, telling people how to get around campus. So that was definitely a must-have. We wanted to be able to group our layers, doesn't run on Flash. We have, as part of our ELA, we have a lot of Esri software available to us, and we weren't taking advantage of that. So part of this process will be exploring some new software and things we can do with it. We wanted mobile access, which we didn't really have previously. We wanted to be able to search based on attributes in our layers rather than just like a geocode. We wanted to play around with versioning and have better control over our security, which is something that we don't really do right now. The ability to link to different data sources, print function, draw and measure tools, and have the end result, again, be part of our one-stop shop for building information and not technically challenging for our end users. So that was our big list of must-haves. And looking towards the future, I'm not exactly sure how we will do this, but having our campus viewer be used for more future planning, having the planners be able to set up future views of how a building might look would be really cool. If you have heard of Insights for ArcGIS, this is one of the softwares that we have a license for that we haven't been able to use because we didn't have Portal, but we have Portal. It's all set up now. But it's a web-based data analytics where you can explore spatial and non-spatial data together, and it has some really cool ways of showing, displaying your data, but also having it be interactive. So I'm really excited to get started with that. And we want to create tailored dashboards for users. And as always, we want to add more data. And this little bubble down here in the bottom represents everyone that we work with, that we share data with, collect data for. So we have to keep all of those people in mind as we're going through this upgrade process and what they need versus what I want. So, and I will quickly do a little preview. So this is still very much a work in progress. Please ignore the funky colors and parking lot outlines. So this is the new campus viewer. And of course, it's going to be very slow now that I'm presenting. But we have our level picker, which, come on, Wi-Fi. Works much like it did on the old campus viewer that we still currently have up and running. Maybe my demo won't work today. Does this happen to anyone else? They try to demo something and it doesn't work. Maybe if I refresh it. But anyways, we have our level picker so we can see the same level of our buildings across campus. It also has a really cool search functionality, which I was going to show you, but I don't know if I can right now. But anyways, it searches through all the attributes of all the layers that we have in our campus viewer. So if I Okay, let's see if I can get this to work. So we have a tree layer in our campus viewer. If I type in maple, it will search through all of the trees that we have on campus and show us all of our maple trees. You can flash them on screen, you can zoom to them, you can get more information, which my laptop dimensions are a little weird, so you can't see it down here at the bottom, but more information pops up. But you can also export this search result to a CSV. So if you needed the data in Excel or something, you could do that. You can also, if you're looking for a room, I can search using our building codes and our room numbers. Any layer that we have on the campus viewer will show up here that has ball 210 in it. So that's kind of the thing we're most excited about now is this search functionality, but everything else is your basic. You have your layer list and your base map gallery, and the drawing and measure tools. So those are cool. If I open them up, you can do things like plunk a point down, but then move it around. You can also, one of the things our planners do a lot is they'll, draw a space in a building, which now I can't do because I'm not clicked on that. We have this space in a building, will it fit in this building over here? So that was one of the functionalities that our planning department was really like, yeah, we need that. And you can also have it do it and show you the area of the space that you're drawing. And again, you can take these and move them around, so that's pretty cool. So that's our work in progress campus viewer right now. I think we're probably somewhere between 50 and 75% done with it. We're hoping to be done with it this summer. And maybe next year I'll do a prettier presentation of it. Where was I? Okay, and actually, that's all I got. So are there any questions? Yeah?
So when you're going into campus viewer, where are your floor plans right now? How do you have them set up?
So our floor plans, they originate in CAD, and we use the data interoperability extension to convert them from CAD to GIS. So they are all layers in the campus viewer. And then the level selector and the floor selector will turn them on and off.
Okay.
And all the data is in a SQL database, all the attribute data, so we link to a table. We link our GIS layers to that table to get all the information. If that makes sense. Yeah?
Where are you keeping your base plans? Where are they saved?
So our CAD drawings are saved on SharePoint. And our CAD specialist will be working off of SharePoint once we finally give her a cutoff date and say, hey, SharePoint now. And then we have a couple different servers. So we have a data server for all of our GIS data. And once we convert them to GIS, they live on that server. In the back.
Do you have your e-builder integrated with any of your systems?
I'm sorry?
Is your e-builder integrated with anything, or is it standalone?
We are integrating it with our HR database, which is PeopleSoft, and our financials, which I'm blanking on at the moment. So those are the first two systems we're going to integrate with. Down the road, work order management is separately run by operations and services, so we'll hopefully get all of that data into eBuilder as well. Yep.
So with eBuilder, did you use pretty much their processes that they had already out of the box, or did you customize?
We customized.
And what was that level of effort like?
It's been a long process. It was kind of a big level of effort. So there was a group, a special eBuilder group that sat down and really said, this is how we want this process to work, and this one, and this one. Then they would discuss with the planners and the project managers, will it work this way? And then they went back and adjusted. And during our lunch and learns, we test those out. So a lot of times something will, mess up during the middle and they have to go back and fix it. So it's been an effort, but in the end, I think it will really be worth it. Yep.
And with customizations, I feel like that often scares developers. So what's going to be like the effort in the future of, is it going to be easily upgradable or?
For what? Which?
eBuilder.
For eBuilder?
Like you said you customized it, so like whenever you customize the product, it kind of.
Well, we customize the processes. So we have their standard eBuilder. I should have brought it up. Their workspace. So home, get me home. So that part isn't really customized. It's more of the workflows that people do. So during a project, we get these files in, these people get a notification, this person has to sign that document. This is where the files will live, this is who has to see them. Those processes.
eBuilder kind of like built in for like customization.
Yes.
In that way, or-
Yeah, you could
Probably call it configured.
configuring, yeah. We can configure the way our workflows go, but we're not really messing around with their standard software. Yep.
Are you going to use eBuilder then to store your project documents, or are you going to have to figure out how to get those into SharePoint?
So all project documents will be in eBuilder, and there is an ongoing discussion as to when the project is completed, are we just copying all that data into SharePoint, into our project archives, or are we taking it out of eBuilder and moving it into SharePoint? We are not 100% sure what we're going to do yet, but that's one of our things we still need to figure out. Yep.
You may have said this already, and I apologize. How long did it take you to implement eBuilder, I guess, from starting eBuilder, implementing workflows to users using?
So May 2018 is when we started getting all of our data ready to go into eBuilder, and it's taken from then until hopefully November of this year to be fully implemented and having everybody using eBuilder and have it live. Yep.
Does that implementation include the financial
Yes.
integration?
Yep. That's everything. Everything up and running.
Self-serving marketing question.
Yes.
How do you make sure your floor plans have intelligent polylines that link to the space data?
Oh, Glenn, I don't know. How do we do that? So we work with ACAD Plus to help us make sure all of that data is stored in our floor plans and CAD drawings, which can be taken out of the CAD and imported into the GIS, which is very, very helpful. Yep. Okay.
Shameless plug.
Kind of was hoping she'd say it without me having to.
Sorry. Next year.
How long are you leaving your documentation in eBuilder before moving it to SharePoint if you have like a year before you close out documentation? And also, does everyone have access to eBuilder that has the same access to SharePoint if they're looking for documentation?
So I think the project information will remain in eBuilder until it is closed. And even then it might remain in eBuilder just so we can report on it. But specifically the closeout documents will be moved or copied to SharePoint. So if a project we're waiting a year for the closeout documents, it'll be in eBuilder saying it's not closed out until we get those documents. And for access, everyone in facilities has access to eBuilder, and everyone in facilities has access to SharePoint. If there's sensitive information like HR data, obviously not everyone will have access to that, but general project data, at least all the planning department and the project managers will have access to it. And I think I have 1 minute left, so. Yep.
Can we get your contact info?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I took it down.
Questions after the presentation?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes.
I got a question. So what is the flow of updating the information? So say something's going to change, a modification.
Mm-hmm.
Have you figured out that kind of flow of how that information will be updated?
For like a workflow
Yeah,
or?
let's say a 10-inch line is underground utility.
Oh.
Like, how would that be updated? How, the continuity of the information?
Yep. So right now, for any, that's all in our GIS. So people will come to me with an updated plan or a drawing or something they sketched out or a photo of this is what it looks like now, and I will translate that into GIS. We're working on a more formal process for that. And SharePoint has that kind of ability to have a request. So all the requests will be stored on SharePoint. You can report on those if you want, mark them as finished, unfinished. So that's a future want. But
So SharePoint allows you to like ping people or
Yep.
send an email and keep it outstanding until that request is fulfilled?
yes, so. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.